Happy New Year, everybody. It's 2025. It's a new year, and we're talking about a new type of movie and potentially the inspiration for my next Halloween costume. We're talking about In a Violent Nature from 2024. I'm Dusty Lane.
I'm Jason Mitchell.
And we are the Cenobites. Dude, I would love a Johnny costume. The fucking creepy.
Hello?
I came for you. We have such sights to show you.
It was an excellent day for an exorcism.
I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains in.
I want to play a game.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was. This is God.
We all go a little mad sometimes. Haven't you?
But sometimes that is better.
Welcome back to Oblivion, everyone. Once again, we're talking about In a Violent Nature from 2024, directed by Chris Nash. Jason, you mentioned a couple of other movies that he was behind. What were you talking about there?
Yeah, looks like he directed The ABCs of Death 2. That's from 2014.
Hell yeah.
The Void from 2016.
The Void.
Yeah, dude. It's like
Hell
some sci-fi body horror type shit.
Yeah.
Life Changer from 2018. I don't know about that one, but
Okay.
evidently special effects on Psycho Goreman.
Shit, yeah, now we're talking.
So, hell yeah.
In good company with in the gore department, at least. Runtime in 94 minutes. This movie is not rated, which was what allowed it to be in some theaters, along with like Terrifier 3.
Right.
If they put a rating on this thing, it probably would have had to be
Like NC-17.
past
or-
R, right? So
Right.
preventing them kind of from releasing it. Studios involved here, we've got Shudder Films, Zygote Pictures, and IFC Films for distribution. We're set in Canada here, in the Algoma district of Ontario, near Sault Ste. Marie, actually,
Okay.
which is just on the other side of the American Sault Ste. Marie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, dude, our plot here is you really shouldn't take things that don't belong to you. The golden rule. It's pretty simple, really. All right, everybody, first of all, this might be my new favorite movie, actually. I fucking loved this.
Hell yeah.
But I do want to start off by prefacing this entire episode with the fact that this movie will probably be incredibly divisive. There are two definite and obvious sides to this fence, and it'll probably be a hard one to straddle for most people. Like, you probably won't just kind of like the movie. You either get it and you love it, or you don't really vibe with what they're going for, and you'll mostly be pretty bored.
Right.
I was firmly on the love side of this fence. It's so intentionally slow in a meta kind of way, like pulling you into the POV of the killer, which means, by default, a large percentage of it is just following the killer around in his downtime between kills,
Right.
which for me is fantastic and hilarious. But if people aren't on board with this, I can see them losing interest pretty quick and changing to maybe a more classic slasher, which this absolutely is,
Mhm.
but just viewed through a different lens.
Right.
But I will also say that the kills and gore in this movie are positively incredible. This movie literally has, easily for me, the best kill of the year. Even with Art the Clown tearing up the box office, I honestly think one of the kills in this movie tops anything I've seen Art do.
Damn.
Which anybody who knows anything about Art knows that's really saying something.
Right.
So there you go. You've been warned. This movie is 50% gore and 50% ASMR, which I'm totally fine with. Half of it is just him walking through the woods, which is
Right.
one of my favorite places to be. So when there's not action, I'm totally content with how pretty it is, how calm, how peaceful. Apparently the primary filming location, like we said, was near Sault Ste. Marie, but it's like beautifully, perfectly preserved forest. If you've ever been up to the UP, you know what I'm talking about. It's gorgeous.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, disclaimers out of the way. Let's get into this. First off, the cast list. We've got our boy Johnny here, played by Rye Barrett, who I think does a fantastic job pulling off this character.
Yeah.
Chris, played by Andrea Poplovich, that's our final girl. Her friend Colt, played by Cameron Love, and their other little group of friends here. Her boyfriend Troy, played by Liam Leone.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, played by Sam Rolston, Ehren, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Evan, played by Alexander Oliver.
Mm-hmm.
Brody, played by Leah Rose Sebastianis.
Mm-hmm.
Aurora, played by Charlotte Cregan.
Mm-hmm.
The Ranger, played by Reese Presley.
Mm-hmm.
And the Woman, played by Lauren Taylor, who there's a fun little tidbit we'll get in about her casting at the end of this movie, but we'll revisit it when we get there. And then finally, we got the number one motherfucker, Chuck, played by Timothy Paul McCarthy.
Mm-hmm.
As always, we like to mention cinematography by Pierce Dirks. I think this film is beautifully shot.
Oh, yeah.
There is no score in this movie. Zero score whatsoever. There is some diegetic music that we hear, like with the teens at the cabin playing music over the stereo, whatever
Right.
kind of shit, but otherwise zero score. So instead, we usually like to point out who took care of the music and sound design or whatever. I didn't find much, but I did find that our Foley artists here were Tim Atkins and Michelle Wu, and special effects done by Mike Hamilton.
Okay.
So I think those four people are probably the saviors of this movie, really. Like, everything is in the tone, and
Right.
it's bare on the surface. It's another one of those, like, it should be simple. There's just a dude going through the woods picking people off, like any other slasher you've seen, but at the same time, the tone shifts to a much different place, and I love it, personally.
Oh, yeah.
From the very opening of this movie, we're deep in nature, like real nice and deep, like opening credits over just the sounds of the forest, and then our first image is on some random dilapidated structure in the woods, and a couple dudes are chatting idly with each other, and one's like, yo, dude, check it out, I found a necklace, looks like gold. The other guy's like, oh, maybe it's there for a reason, which, I mean, what do you mean? If you live in the real world, why would your brain automatically go to curse? But one of the guys off screen says, well, we are in the middle of a graveyard after all. Oh, ha, ha, ha. The vocal acting here isn't amazing, and I'll just say at the jump that not a lot of the acting in general is top shelf in this movie, but I feel like that might be intentional too, given the fact that we're really heightening and over-exaggerating the meta aspect of this Ain't Your Mama slasher. The chops of the actors aren't really what's important here. They want it to be bad and cheesy to sell the rest of it.
Right. Agreed.
So yeah, we get the names Colt and Aaron dropped here. I mentioned the spelling of the EHREN for Aaron, which take the out of that. That's exactly how I feel about all these characters. And because of that, once again, I'm totally okay with them being horrifically slaughtered. Like, this is a slasher where it's totally okay to be on the killer's side, you know? Like, this is what we're here for. Almost to the point of it being like that Friday the 13th video game.
Right.
Like, third person, follow him around. Oh, I hear a teen, time to go kill him and get my mom's necklace back.
Yeah,
which
hell yeah.
turns out to be the sole motivation for this entire thing, which is also cheesy. The entire premise is so cliche slasher. Like, oh no, you took the magical relic holding him in the ground, you idiot. Thanks a lot. Now we're all fucked.
Yeah, I thought it was really simple. You know, it took a little bit of getting into the meat of this movie before I kind of changed my mind, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of those cliche conversations, we have one that goes almost exactly like that about halfway through this movie. But one of the guys mentions at this point that there was something that happened here referred to as the White Pine Slaughter. Aaron is the only one who knows about it, but the other two aren't really interested. They talk about getting back to camp because they have about 20 minutes before Brody claims all the girls for herself. So there's a lesbian in our midst stealing all the ladies, apparently.
Yes.
That's a plot point that'll come back, actually, just before the greatest kill in this movie. Maybe the greatest kill I've ever seen. So they decide to head back, and here's the first inkling that this movie is a little different. We hear their voices trail off, but the camera holds on this structure. Real quick, speaking of other voices trailing off, sound is an enormous part of this movie. We rely just as heavily on sound in this as we do the visuals, maybe even more so. Like the clodding beat of Johnny's footsteps walking through the forest. Our killer's name is Johnny, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Played expertly by Rye Barrett. We love Johnny. Car engines and gunshots in the distance. Like, every time we're hanging out with Johnny, there's always something that's louder than the sounds of the forest or foreign to, alien amidst the sounds of the forest that distracts him or draws his attention. And it's like him happening to hear something leads to a sick kill every time.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's great. So the guys fuck off. As they leave, we pan over to see what they were talking about. Very slow pan over to this necklace. And the locket hanging on a pole, the camera kind of holds on it. And one of the guys says, "Hey, Troy, are you coming?" And Troy answers, but before he leaves, he grabs this necklace off the rusty piece of metal. And there it is. That's our whole movie right there. Another cut would be funny, though. "Hey, Troy, you coming?" "Yeah." And he leaves without taking it in the end. in a natural nature. Troy takes the necklace and we just hang out there for a minute, nothing in particular happening until we hear some deep, bassy gurgles. And then suddenly the metal pole starts to shift around on its own. Oh shit, what's happening here?
Right.
It wiggles around violently for a minute and then falls, and then we get a motherfucking zombie crawling out of the ground. This is our buddy Johnny. He takes forever pulling himself out of the ground here. We get multiple angles of him rising up. He stands up completely and some chains fall off of him. He stands there for a minute just trying to kind of get his bearings, and then he turns around and fucks off. There's a moment here where we almost see his face, but we don't quite get it, just a general shape.
Right.
And then there's this really great overhead shot of him just walking off. It's super cool.
Yeah. My first complaint with this was, this motherfucker looks like Jason.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
And not only does he look like Jason, it's his mom's necklace.
Yeah, dude.
You know,
it's his
like,
mom's necklace. He's got the flannel going on.
Right.
He's just a big hulking figure. That's another point to be made about, like, how in the fuck does this keep happening? These people dying as children.
Right.
As children.
Coming back as a man.
9, 10 years old, coming back as this fucking hulking brute, not just a man.
Right.
The biggest, fucking strongest. Like, what the fuck is going on here? Their face is always fucked up.
Right.
Man.
Yeah, because Johnny's got some weird shit going on. It almost looked like he had a metal plate in the back of his head or something. Like where the skin split.
Yeah,
You know?
There's definitely, maybe that's just like exposing his skull or whatever because
Right.
it's been rotting in the ground for however long.
Right.
But yeah, we cut to a third-person view from behind him, just following him along as he trudges through the woods. And there are a few moments while he's walking here where they throw in jump cuts, showing us how much time is passing as he walks. Like, between steps, the shot changes, but the only real difference in the shot is that the sun is in a different position in the sky now.
Right.
It's so fucking funny.
He's been walking for so fucking long.
Yeah, like, here it is, folks, a day in the life of your favorite slasher icon. So, just a quick overall image summary here. Big hulking dude. He's bald with a fucked up head, wearing, the jeans and the flannel shirt and boots. Again, not Jason. There's a quick close-up shot of an animal in a bear trap as he walks by, and then he approaches another. It's like a dead dog, maybe a fox, maybe a coyote, something.
Right.
Either way, it's extremely dead. He stands there kicking at it for a second before he continues on. There's a beautiful shot with the sunlight streaming down onto it, though. Like, it's strange seeing the care they took in this shot.
Right. Oh, it's gross,
to film
too.
a close-up of this very dead animal.
Yeah, it's nasty. Flies are buzzing and shit.
Yeah, and remember the fly buzzing thing. That comes back quite a few times in this movie, including in the credits. Johnny looks over at a tree with a pink ribbon and a utility box tied onto it.
It's a trail cam.
Is that a trail cam?
Yeah.
Oh, shit, okay.
It's a trail cam.
Nice, hell yeah.
Yeah, my wife said the same thing. Like, what the hell is that? And I'm like, well, you can't expect it to look like a house camera. It's a trail cam, and they're always green. They want them to blend in.
Right.
You know?
Well, I heard people mentioning, I didn't hear any mention of the trail cam, but I heard people referencing, like, what are the ribbons on the tree, whatever. Those ones is like surveying, like staking out a property line or something.
See,
like
and
that.
I just wasn't too sure exactly what it was. If maybe people that are hunting an area or something, if that's their land, that was pink ribbons. Like, hey, this is my line.
Right.
Here's my trail cam. Stay off of my shit. Because
Either way, I think what it is, we'll find out in a second with the reveal of this conversation that ends up happening. Is the property line of, like, it's between the national park and Chuck's property.
That's right. Okay.
He looks like he's going to walk over to that box and check it out for a second, but he hears a horn honking in the distance, which attracts his attention, and he walks toward that instead, past more trees with those pink ribbons on them. He approaches the sound of honking horns. He hears somebody yelling along with it, and he's like, "You got 15 seconds or I'm coming back with the sheriff." So this is a park ranger bitching at some guy named Chuck, who apparently took so long to come out because he was taking a shit. Been there before. There was actually a time when I was at work where, of course, just when I got in the bathroom, they fucking sounded the alarm for a fire drill, and they're like, "Everybody out," and I'm fucking struggling, dude. Like, they opened the door a couple of times, like, "Come on, we gotta get everybody out," and I'm like, "I'm fucking coming." And then by the time I got out there, fire drill over, everything's fine.
Just bite your lip and give it hell, buddy.
You show that turd to his boss. The ranger is telling Chuck to stop putting the bear traps in the woods because it's a public park, like national forest type situation. What if people get hurt, etc. Chuck tries to de-escalate the situation. He says, "Oh, calm down. Come on in. I'll buy you a beer." Ranger says, "I'm not going to find any more traps if I go back out there and check, right?" Chuck goes, if you go into that barn, you might not find your way out again. Boy.
Yeah, fuck, dude.
What the fuck?
It's an easy way to get arrested.
So the whole time they're talking, we can only hear them. We're still following behind Johnny. And this is about the point where we can start to see figures standing around the forest ranger truck. And Johnny is just casually walking toward him. I thought at this point one of them would like notice and be like, what the fuck is that? But no, they're wrapped up in their argument. Ranger tells Chuck to stay out of the park, or one of these days you're going to find something that's going to walk right through your traps. And trust me, you don't want to find that out. So a goofy line delivery, but important information of something's going to walk right through your trap. So it sure as fuck is. It's about to, as a matter of fact.
Right.
But yeah, it's not a great script, but intentionally so. But there's also like terrible tough guy acting here.
Right.
All part of the bigger picture. Chuck says to him, if I see you on my property again, all my rifles will blow you a kiss goodbye. Fucking good one, I guess. The ranger goes to leave and Chuck tosses something in the bed of his truck. And he says, take out the trash. While they've been talking, Johnny has been making his way toward the back of the house. Chuck walks in without noticing him. There's some great timing on these shots. It reminds me of the tracking shot in the 2018 Halloween where, Michael walks through the neighborhood on Halloween night and all that shit.
Right.
He's also mumbling to himself, Chuck is, so he can't hear Johnny's footsteps. Interestingly, it looks like Johnny was about to go after the ranger truck, but when he sees it drive away and, he can't catch it because he's slow, he turns back around and heads into the house. So the second before he reaches the back door, we hear the front door close and Chuck comes out, walking out just as Johnny goes walking in.
Yeah, I have a little game of hide and seek here.
Yeah. There's a quick mention on a radio as Johnny walks through the house that today marks the 135th day since North Fort Steele and Milford Haven closed their doors. I think this is a little world building telling us this area is going through some economic strife and people are having a tough time in general. Mm-hmm. It's also foreshadowing for a story about the lumber mill that we'll get later, giving us a little more exposition on Johnny and his family. Johnny turns and sees a picture on a shelf and it gives him a flashback memory that appears to us, the audience, in a mirror. I'm thinking he may be imagining the same thing. It's his dad standing there holding the locket saying, "This was your mother's, John. I want you to have it. That way it'll always be with you no matter what happens." Okay, so there it is. You have it. It's his fucking necklace. Give it back. It's like if a dude named Reese walked up to you and told you to give him back his peanut butter cup. You'd have no choice in the matter. His name is literally on it. His dad goes, "You'll always be our little boy, John." When the vision fades, we see revealed in the reflection, Johnny sees, what's this? A solid gold necklace?
Yeah, shit.
Hanging from a lamp on a table behind him. Johnny turns and walks over to grab it as Chuck walks back inside. Johnny kicks over a beer bottle on the floor, alerting Chuck to his presence. And there's a specific shot here that we'll call back to in a minute of Johnny reaching for this necklace. But before he can grab it, he hears Chuck's rifle cock. And he pulls his hand back and turns to go after that sound. And the gun fires strangely inside. I say strangely because we come to find out that he wasn't firing at Johnny. This is kind of weird. Johnny turns, the gun fires, and then we hear Chuck griping again, talking about the ranger. He's like, "Oh, you stupid son of a bitch, you're going to make me do this." And then Johnny turns the corner and Chuck sees him and freaks out. He goes, "Oh, what the fuck?" So I'm thinking what happens is Chuck hears the bottle, thinks it's the ranger again, but now he's in his house. So Chuck was firing a warning shot to scare him off. And then as he's reloading because he's got a bolt action rifle, Johnny walks in, scares the shit out of him, taking him off guard. Because although we haven't seen it yet, Johnny's face, we'll find out, is all fucked up. Clearly like The Walking Dead.
I thought he shot around the wall. I really wasn't sure, though.
You can see the muzzle flash, but you can't see where the gun is pointing.
I was going to say, like, when he goes to lunge for Chuck around the corner, you can see the smoke in the air. And obviously we know the gun went off, but yeah, I don't know exactly what happened there.
But no, Chuck sees Johnny and shits his pants, and then Johnny rushes him and grabs the gun, points it at the ceiling. We cut outside, and we hear the second shot ring out and see the muzzle flash through the window. Chuck is screaming the whole time. He freaks out and scrambles away. He stumbles out the back door running from Johnny. He's like, "What do you want? Say something. I didn't do anything to you." And we see now that Johnny has stolen his gun, but not to use it, Art the Clown.
He just straight drops it. Yeah.
He drops the gun, slowly walks down this zigzaggy path as Chuck runs from him. Long shot, takes forever.
Dude, I love this scene because Chuck is gaining distance. The camera is set near the house, and you can just hear him, "Oh, no, help me!" And then cuts directly to like He's been running and screaming for a while.
Right.
We're at another point in the woods, and we're POV behind Johnny, right. And he's still...
finally getting up to him.
Woo! Help! Help me! It's so fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, Johnny eventually catches up to him because, just like the ranger warned, Chuck gets caught in one of his own traps. And yeah, speaking of this, it's a trope that I don't understand in movies. Somebody gets caught in a bear trap, right? And they're always trying to drag themselves away, even though their leg clearly isn't going anywhere, when all you have to do is pry the trap open.
Right.
It works on animals because they don't understand how to fucking open it, or they lack the opposable thumbs to do so, or the strength, whatever.
Right.
But why does no one ever take a second to free themselves from the trap? It's fucking nonsense.
Maybe it just hurts that bad, you know?
I guess, but you know how to get it to unhurt? Anyway, Chuck, now that we get a close-up of his face, we see that he's wearing a hat that says "Number 1 Motherfucker" on it.
Yeah.
And Johnny walks up to him, and we get a great shot of him reaching his hand toward Chuck's face super slowly. Kind of like that Austin Powers shot again.
Right.
But before we see anything happen, there's a match cut to basically the same shot of Johnny reaching, but now he's back in the house. His hand is fucking covered in blood, dripping blood.
Right.
And what he's reaching for now is the necklace. Amazing. Excellent. Johnny grabs the necklace and looks at it, and we see that it's not the necklace he's after. It also says "Number 1 Motherfucker" on it. So that's just this dude's brand. I like to think he won a contest hosted by Samuel L. Jackson. Congratulations, Chuck. You are the number 1 motherfucker. But hilariously, the radio is still on, and she makes a quick mention of good news for campers this weekend. Yeah, we'll fucking see about that. So Johnny's disappointed. He drops the necklace. He walks back outside. He's back on the hunt. He walks back past Chuck, now super fucking dead. We can see that his face is all caved in. Mm-hmm. Johnny ripped one of his arms off, and that's just laying on the roof of the car he's propped up against. Johnny, still walking. It's getting dark. I imagine him just thinking about all the errands he's got to get done while he's on his commute. You know, like, gotta get mom's necklace. This shredded flannel sure could use a wash. Gotta get mom's necklace. Boy, I am swamped. Get it? Swamped.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, just as Johnny approaches a road, a car drives by with a bunch of teens in it, hooting and howling. That's direction change number 2 for Johnny today. He plods off after them. That's actually another trope I don't think I get. A shitty car full of teens and they're always screaming their asses off for no reason.
Right.
What the fuck is happening with that? Can you shut the fuck up so I can enjoy this car ride, please? By the way, this car doesn't sound like it's doing too good. You might want to skip the camping trip and go to fucking Valvoline instead.
They're kids, man. They got no money.
That's true. Back to Johnny. It's fully night now. Still walking. Surprise, surprise. He hears a couple of gunshots. Oh, so he's like, oh, here we go. Better follow that sound. He approaches the campsite of our group here. We've got our final girl, Chris, boyfriend, Troy, their friends, Aaron, Aurora, Brody, and Evan, and someone who seems to be a point of contention between Chris and Troy, a guy named Colt, that Troy is mad that Chris invited. Maybe something between them before Chris and Troy got together, ? I don't know.
Right.
They have a fire going, obviously, and also firing a gun because they're out in the middle of nowhere. Kind of amazing how close Johnny gets to them, I thought. Like, he's only about 20 feet away by the time he stops. Surprised nobody heard him stomping. Like, you don't give a fuck when he's walking around.
Yeah, nobody notices him at all during this movie at any point, really.
Yeah. So the guys fire the gun again. The girls are over it. One of them, I think Chris, mentions, okay, we get it. Your dicks are huge. Let's put the gun away now. Troy says, you don't get shit, but you'll get it later on. Oh, ha, 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 ha.
The dick jokes.
Mm-hmm. She goes, oh, are you hiding a wedding ring? Important line, establishing Chris as our final girl. She's clean, pure, wholesome, wants to get married, you know, all that kind of thing. He says, yeah, I'm hiding it behind my zipper. So this douchebag clearly isn't good enough for her, reducing her dreams of marriage to sexual jokes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I love this line from Aaron here. He goes, wait, so the ring is behind your zipper, meaning it's on your dick? Therefore, your dick is the size of Chris's finger. She keeps the zings coming. She goes, yeah, sometimes it gets that big. Fuck yeah, roast this asshole.
Shit.
Troy unfortunately gets one in too, though. A lot of tension in this line delivery. Yeah, my girl's pretty funny. Huge pregnant pause, looks directly at Colt. Isn't she, Colt?
Yeah, what the fuck?
Ooh, shit.
Tensions
Staring
are building.
dead at him. Like, I dare you to compliment my girlfriend, who you clearly want for yourself right in front of me. Okay, so this guy sucks, but maybe he's got a point about the three of them not being out in the middle of nowhere together. I also love the way the scene is filmed. This is one of the only times in the movie that we aren't just straight up following Johnny around.
Right.
And we're just swirling around this campfire. The kids are all seated around it, obviously. That's how campfires work. And the camera is doing a consistent 360 around them the entire time.
Right.
And this is like a 10-minute scene because Aaron has to tell this long story and give us our exposition for the movie. It's really, I think it's a good choice.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So we got Troy saying, hey, Colt, fuck you, she's mine. Colt's an upstanding guy, so he just responds with, yeah, you're a lucky man, Troy. Man, specifically, not guy, not dude. His choice in words here immediately de-escalates the situation, saying, you're the man, you're the alpha, I concede, you know. Aaron asks Colt for a lighter so that he can spark up some weed, but the lighter is a Zippo and he's using a bowl. All right, now, I don't know how many people out there are familiar, but this is the scariest part of this movie. You're going to burn your little fingies. Like, have you ever tried to light anything other than a cigarette or a joint with a Zippo? Huge pain in the ass. Colt is just sitting there looking sad now. One of the guys says, oh, hey, Aaron, weren't you talking about that white pine slaughter shit earlier? Why don't you tell us about that? Aaron launches into the story, telling us why we're all here in the first place. He said he heard it from his uncle that there was this slow kid named Johnny. I don't really dig this part here. It feels forced, but when he says slow, everybody's like, wait, what? Whatever could you mean? Slow how? Like, he walked really slow? Does he move like a sloth? Like, which is funny because it's true. Like, physically, Johnny is extremely slow. It's our trope of the killer who's always walking, and in this in particular, they slow him down a bit extra just to hammer it home. But the point of this part is that they're trying to get Aaron...
Don't say it.
They're trying to get Aaron to say the R word. I just don't think we needed to make a big deal of that. Like, just say slow kid, he was handicapped, and let that be the end of it.
Right.
Apparently, Aurora was filming, and they were trying to get him to say it on the video to get him canceled. But anyway, the story goes, 70 years ago, the whole area was leased out by a logging company. And it was super remote, so there were these little shops all over the place for the lumberjacks to get their essentials while they're out working. You know, like razor blades, shaving cream, soap, food, whatever. Problem was, because everything was so remote, they didn't really have a choice but to get their stuff from these shops. So, knowing they had a monopoly on these guys, they jacked up the prices on everything and raked in a bunch of cash. Johnny's dad, it turns out, is the guy who ran these stores, and the loggers were pissed, but they couldn't do anything to the dude that had the supply of shit they needed, so they took their anger out on Johnny instead. The icing on the cake was one day one of the loggers tripped on Johnny's toy car, which is important for later, and he broke his ankle. Dude was out of work for months and he blamed Johnny for it, decided to teach him a lesson. They all told Johnny they found a bag of toys and he needed to go to the old fire tower and meet them at the top.
Yeah. They did all this to a little kid.
To a little fucking kid.
Yeah, Jesus, dude.
Johnny sneaks out of the camp one night to go get these toys, but of course, there were no toys. Just one of the loggers that was waiting up at the top for Johnny wearing this creepy old firefighter mask, and the whole point of this was to scare Johnny, which he did, but in doing so, Johnny fell over the side of the tower, broke his neck at the bottom, and died.
Oof.
So apparently the lumberjacks freak out, cover it up, they put a mask on him to make it look like he was just out there playing by himself and fell. And one of the dudes says, wait, was that the same fire tower we were at earlier? You know, the one I took that totally innocuous necklace and definitely won't be our death warrant from? Yeah, I mean, could be, who knows?
So it was an old fire tower that had fell. So the top of the fire tower is what they were standing in. That looked kind of like a cabin or something.
Right, yeah. So Johnny falls off this tower and dies. His dad knew right away that these loggers must have been somehow responsible. So he confronts them in the mess hall. A fight breaks out. He dies in the fight. So the guy that killed himself claims self-defense and the logging company covered it up. Troy's not impressed. He goes, okay, so a kid and his dad died. That doesn't sound like much of a slaughter. Aaron goes, well, hang on a second. Turns out, a week after all this happened, a couple bigwigs from the company showed up at the camp, but every single person was dead. Huge fucking lumberjacks torn to pieces, he says.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So the execs from the company closed everything down. They paid off the wives of the loggers and claimed that the loggers all died from bad meat. Oh, come on, are you for real? All of them bad? Like, no one notices any symptoms for, like, however many this was?
Right.
Problem was the torn up bodies, right? So to explain that, they just said animals must have started eating them. So, oh shit, this is how zombie apocalypse movies start. Bad meat, guys eat bad meat, animals eat guys that ate bad meat. Somebody else eats those animals. Before you know it, the whole world's infected. Fuck, man. But apparently one of the cops claimed to have seen a guy standing in the woods wearing one of those old school firefighter masks, so maybe he did it, whoever he is. Maybe it was Johnny's spirit, maybe it was a little of both. Huge silence as the story wraps up and Brody starts clapping. Aaron goes, I swear on my uncle, it's a true story. Brody says, fuck your uncle, he's a pedophile. Whoa, fucking what? What do you mean by that? Aaron goes, it doesn't count if I forgave him.
Ew, dude.
Yeah, gross.
Important to point out that during this story, Evan pulls the necklace out of his pocket of his jacket and looks at it for a second.
Troy does.
Troy.
Yeah.
Important to note here that Troy pulls out the necklace that he took from the fire tower earlier during this little story.
Mm-hmm. Hell yeah.
Fucking dumbass.
We almost get a second story. Aaron starts to tell him about a bunch of park rangers that also died here 10 years ago. Jesus, man, what is it with this place? But no, everyone's done for the night with the spooky stories. They go to the cabin because the bugs are getting crazy. Aurora wants to take a selfie with everyone before they go in because the firelight is just too good and she's addicted to social media. Even though they're in the middle of nowhere and there's no reception.
Right.
As they all huddle around Aurora for this picture, we can see Johnny just standing behind them in the darkness. The flash brightens it up a little, but he's pretty well covered, not super easy to see unless you're really looking. You wonder for a second if they're going to see him in the background of the pic, but nobody does at this point.
Right.
They put out the fire, and Aurora makes a mention about her ciders in the cooler. She's like, don't fucking touch them, anybody. They're like, yeah, we get it. You won't shut up about them. She says, yeah, well, I'm not drinking beer all weekend because of your toxic masculinity, something, something, blah, blah, blah. The voices kind of trail off again as everyone goes inside. We cut to a shot of Johnny, who waits for them all to go inside before he starts moving. I wondered to myself a bit why he would just stand there the whole time while the story was being told. Like, he's there, why not start taking these kids out? But maybe it's a thing where he's hearing the story about himself. It's putting him in his feels, you know, he's lost in thought about it. I don't know, something like that, maybe.
Right.
He walks over to this little, like, shed thing once the kids go inside, and he grabs this very specific tool for log shaping. This is a hilarious choice because you're thinking, okay, he's a slasher. He's going to grab a knife, a machete, an axe. Something that can either easily be swung or thrusted to expedite your murdering. But once again, as we see in slashers sometimes, they get creative. They have a lot of time to think about ways to kill when you're just walking by yourself for 98% of your life, you know. Especially Jason, killing people with weed whackers and beating them inside sleeping bags and shit.
Right.
So this is way too specific a tool, and I was just laughing my ass off when he grabbed it. What it's called, I believe, is a draw knife or a draw shaving tool. It's just a long blade with a handle on either side, and you pull it toward yourself, hence draw, along with the surface of the piece of wood you're working on, and it helps flatten the wood to give you an even plane to work with. So I'm wondering immediately what in the fuck he's planning on doing with this. Wouldn't have been my first choice in weapons, but I'm not Johnny, so. The kids inside the cabin are cranking some fun music. By the way, once again, we mentioned no score in this movie. Anytime you do have music, which is only a time or two, it's either playing through somebody's headphones or, you know, some shit like that. Johnny walks up to the house and overhears Chris and Troy talking. She says she's going to slip into something more comfy. And he says, oh, really? Do you need help? She's like, no, you prick. You were an asshole earlier.
Right.
Talking about his reaction to Colt, saying Chris was funny. He's like, I don't want to hear it. You made me invite him. I didn't want him here. Still don't. Chris tries to explain he's going through something, but Troy says he doesn't care. He's bringing everyone down. For the second time in like 3 minutes, someone starts slow clapping. I don't like that choice. Just forcefully bad acting. Johnny walks around the back of the cabin and sees Brody sitting out there smoking weed. Appropriately enough on the stereo in the cabin, the song High by Peter Landy starts playing.
Nice.
Aaron walks out and asks her for a lighter, and she's like, where are you off to and why are you sneaking out the back door? He says, I gotta go take a shit, and she starts teasing him, saying he's probably going to meet with the girls from the gas station earlier.
Right.
Apparently there was a couple of girls that were really into him, from his perspective anyway.
Yeah, right.
He's like, you're an idiot. That would be like a 4-hour walk. She's like, whatever, dude. When you meet them, make sure you show them your cassette player. They'll think you're from the future. Evan walks outside and helps Brody egg Aaron on. He goes, gas station girls, huh? You're gonna ask him if they need a fill up? They start chanting, fill me up, Aaron, fill me up. Aaron gets all annoyed, walks off to take his shit. After he leaves, Evan asks Brody if she wants to see a cool spider. Apparently it's bigger than Troy's dick. Johnny's just been kicking it this whole time, and now he starts to walk toward the cabin again, sort of around it. As he's walking, suddenly a light turns on inside. He looks over and sees Chris as she starts taking her clothes off to change. But remember, she's our final girl virgin, so no nudity in this movie. She only takes a shirt off. That's it. Sorry, buddy. It's interesting framing for this shot because Chris is standing right at the window facing it, and Johnny's standing right outside it. And people might be like, well, why can't she see him? Why isn't she freaking out, whatever? But if you've got a light on inside and it's dark outside, you ain't seeing shit out that window.
Yeah, reflection.
Try it at home, kids. She closes the curtain, and just then, Aaron happens to be standing like 30 feet behind Johnny, trying to find a good shitting spot. And he sparks his lighter to smoke some more weed, another horror movie sin. The sound of the lighter, once again, sound, is what attracts Johnny's attention. So Johnny stomps off after Aaron. Sucks he gets got first. He was probably the coolest of the teens here.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Now, I just said Johnny stomps off. You might be thinking, why couldn't Aaron hear him? Well, because of his cool futuristic cassette player, remember? He's got his headphones on, trying to have himself a nice, pleasant rockin' shit. And then Johnny walks up behind the tree Aaron is leaning against. He puts this tool he grabbed from the wall earlier in front of his face. And then symbolically, Johnny pulls this drawing knife tool back toward him, putting the blade directly at Aaron's mouth.
Ugh.
Aaron was the one telling the story at the fire earlier, so naturally Johnny destroys the mouth that delivered it.
Yeah, right.
So this dude pulls the blade until it decapitates Aaron from the jaw up.
Yeah, sick, dude.
Song playing here during Aaron's death is Loverboy by Techno Westerns. So they were just teasing him about going to meet up with the girls. I think the idea is maybe he's kind of a hopeless romantic type of dude who strikes out with the ladies.
Right.
Just a little added symbolism to tie into his death. Pretty cool. Special effects here are absolutely fantastic. Johnny pulls the blade until it lodges into the tree. The top of Aaron's head falls to the ground, and the rest of his body drops after it.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
There's another shot of Johnny slowly reaching his hand toward Aaron's body, and we see that he was wearing a shirt that says Milford Haven Rangers. That was a cool parallel from the story we heard earlier.
Mm-hmm.
So Johnny just kind of drags his hand down the shirt like he's connecting events in his past to all this. And then Johnny grabs the top of Aaron's head in one hand, and then he shoves his grubby fingers into the neck meat and jawbone that are now exposed, and drags Aaron's body away. The whole time the batteries in the Walkman are dying. So because he specifically has a cassette player, the lower the batteries get, the slower the reel and the tape spins.
Right.
So we get a couple of cuts while Johnny is walking, and each time it cuts, the music is playing slower and slower and getting more and more distorted.
Fuck yeah.
It's a really cool thought and fantastic for the tone in this movie. I really enjoyed the choices they made in filming and sound design. And in this, like, once again, just like TCM, seems really simple on the surface, but we've got a lot of elements at play. And if you do a little digging or just pondering about what's happening, there's a lot to be revealed. It's a really rewarding rewatch, too.
Yeah, for sure.
So Johnny drags this motherfucker all the way to the ranger station.
Dude, I love this.
Yeah, dude. From the beginning of this movie, again, that's why it's great for a rewatch. Like, as he enters that property, there's a motion sensor light that turns on.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny doesn't give a shit. He keeps on walking. He gets to the doors and uses Aaron's head to smash the window. He tosses it inside. He unlocks the door and comes in. Now, inside this ranger station, music on the headphones still playing, still getting slower, by the way. Sounds creepy as shit. Johnny walks up to a wall that they have a bunch of displays up on, like there are tools and artifacts on the wall showing like the history of the logging community, etc.
Right.
There's also the old school firefighter mask and Johnny's signature weapon, baby. Let's go. An axe and a set of drag hooks.
Right. Fuck yeah.
So like, yeah, when you felled a tree, you would hook these into it and drag it off. So hell yeah, he's now achieved his final form.
Yeah, dude, this mask looks sick too.
It's dope, dude. I want
like inside of the display case doesn't look that scary, but when he's got it on and the point of view shot, it's sick. It's a good
dude,
mask.
For sure. So Johnny looks around the station for a little bit, maybe searching for a way to open up the display case, maybe just kind of browsing. He picks up a framed picture off the desk, and it says Ranger Danger 2014. I'm not sure I get this. Like, I assumed Ranger Danger 2014 would be referring to the fact that a bunch of Rangers died 10 years ago. It's 2024. That would have been 2014.
Right.
But the Rangers in the picture, one of which we saw earlier at Chuck's house, and he'll come back in a little bit too, they all look happy as if it was like an office-themed 1 year or whatever, like, ooh, Ranger Danger, bitches. Like, here's the squad.
Right.
But Johnny tosses the picture onto the floor, and he decides to go get his uniform on. To get into this display case, he decides to pick up Aaron's body and heave it into the glass, breaking it.
Severed head first.
He just kind of stands there staring at the mask for a minute until the motion sensor light outside turns off. That was a cool detail. Enough time had passed now that had turned back off.
Right.
The aesthetic of this movie is fucking phenomenal. There's a great shot where we cut to the exterior of the ranger station, and it's very much old slasher Friday the 13th summer camp in the woods vibes. And the whole time it holds on this shot, we can hear Johnny gearing up inside. There's metal scraping as he picks up the axe, chains rattling in the distance as he picks up the hooks, and eventually he walks out the door. We get the reveal of our new horror icon, hopefully, anyway. Here's Johnny in the mask, which is creepy as hell. We've got his weapon. Now we can really get down to business. As he walks away from the ranger station, dude, it's so fucking cool how they set this shot up. God damn it. Okay, like, we've already established that there's a motion sensor light outside. Great. In order to get this super cool, like, hero reveal here, he has to be in the station long enough for the light to turn back off, and then he walks back out in the dark, and by the time he gets back up to where the motion sensor kicks back on, the camera is positioned perfectly to where now he's got his cool mask, he's got his cool weapons, he gets to his mark, and the light turns on, and ta-da! Here's
Right.
Johnny, you know?
Yeah, hell yeah.
It's fucking incredible, and I love every bit of it. Goddamn, I love this movie. Hilariously, when the light does turn on, Johnny kind of looks over at it like, huh? Remember, there's always some sort of sound or light distracting him. This time, there's nothing there, so he keeps on keeping on. We cut to our familiar third-person shot following behind Johnny, and he's been walking such a long time that it's morning again. Great twilight shots here, and then another cut to later in the morning. Johnny's walking along, but then he stops when he hears the sounds of giggling and talking across the lake. Two of the girls run down to the dock, having a grand old time. Johnny watches through this amazing opening in the trees that perfectly frames the dock on the other side as we watch over his shoulder. So the girls on the dock are Brody and Aurora. Remember earlier one of the guys said something about Brody stealing all the girls for herself. Well, apparently she's invited Aurora here for a little playtime. She takes off her shirt, and Aurora says, whoa, 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 what's all this then? And Brody tells her she needs to live a little and starts stripping down. Aurora goes, I thought you said you wanted to do yoga. This looks more like swimming. Johnny sticks his hand axe into a tree stump next to him as Brody jumps into the lake, and then Johnny just starts walking into the lake.
Yeah, Johnny doesn't float here.
No.
Johnny walks in and walks along the bottom, and the camera stays.
Yeah.
The camera stays from where he entered.
Right.
Crazy shot.
Yeah, there's another one here in a second here that's amazing. It's like, how did they frame, like, did they have oxygen tanks under the water or whatever for people?
Right.
But Brody keeps trying to convince Aurora to let her guard down to get in the water, but she's given her every excuse not to. Aurora goes, did you think this is really going to work? She's onto her bullshit. She takes her clothes and drops them into the water. Brody goes, oh, come on, you know we had something back there. Aurora says, I never said we didn't, but stop playing these stupid games. If you want to make a move, then make a move. Don't waste my time with this high school bullshit.
Rare.
Brody says, perfect, I hated high school. Also, guess what? This is my move. Aurora says she's going to go to the lookout to stretch. She goes to stretch myself out a little bit. Why don't you come find me when you're done with your swimming? You can stretch me out a little more. Jesus, Aurora,
Yeah,
language.
Damn.
Aurora says, don't wear yourself out. Oh, don't worry, she won't. So we're still on a long shot across the lake. Brody's swimming around, and you can barely see her head bobbing on the water. Suddenly, she lets out a little yip and gets pulled under the water. They don't cut away for a minute, so again, yeah, did they have oxygen under there or something? We cut to the other side of the lake, and she pops up for a second, gets dragged under again. There's some great sound design here as the struggle that's apparently happening under the water is only suggested to us in the audience by the fact that something is banging against the plastic barrels, keeping the end of the dock afloat.
Oh, yeah.
Really good stuff. Then her body just quietly floats to the surface, and we hang on that for a second until Johnny comes walking out of the water on the opposite side of the dock in another really great shot.
Yeah, just the way that he went in. He just walks out. You know?
His clothes and mask are heavy as shit. They have to be now that he's all waterlogged, right?
Right.
So we cut back to Johnny walking, more jump cuts leading him to the lookout, where he overheard Aurora saying she was going to be. Thanks for letting me know where to kill you. She's sort of at the edge of a cliff, stretching, doing her yoga thing. Johnny walks up carrying his hooks and chains, which looks cool as hell. And here we fucking go. Oh my God. Here's the moment I've all been waiting for. The camera follows Johnny making his way up to Aurora. She's faced away from him, so she hears somebody step on a twig, but she assumes it's Brody, who she told to come find her. She goes, I was wondering when you were going to show. You sure took your time. Oh, yeah, Johnny always does. She turns around to greet Brody, but instead there's this terrifying fucking Hulk standing in front of her. She screams, but doesn't run. I feel like there's a couple times in this sequence where she could have made another choice and maybe survived. Like, right here, he's still like 15 feet away from her. She probably could have totally run away and been all right.
Like, run left or right. She kind of realizes that she's stuck at the edge of the cliff. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, but there was time on there. I mean, hell, she just got done stretching. She's in perfect position for a little morning run.
Right.
But she just doesn't. Like, instead, she backpedals, trying to put distance between the two of them, I guess. But remember, we're on the edge of a cliff here. She turns around to start fully running, but stops immediately, not wanting to fall down this thing. And that's another point where I feel like she could have gotten away, because if you look, you'll see that this isn't exactly a cliff. It's more of a ravine or something.
Right.
Where it's not as much of a drop off as it is a gradual slope. And I think she could have chosen to maybe jump down, slide your way down. I don't know.
Maybe carefully, yeah. Depending on how she went off of that, she probably would have died. Well, that was a huge...
Maybe, dude. But as we'll see in a minute, there's definitely traction enough. It's rock, and it's like a 45-degree angle leading back to the lake. So.
Right.
But she does none of this. She turns back to look at him for a second, and then turns back around to face the drop-off. Looks like she might be considering jumping for a second, but she doesn't make the decision fast enough, because Johnny walks up behind her and shoves one of his hooks through her back.
His whole arm, essentially,
and
goes through.
Yeah, not just the hook. His whole fucking arm goes through, blood pouring out everywhere. We get a close-up of Johnny's mask for a second, and then he pulls his hand back out of her, but he leaves the chain and hook in, sticking out of her stomach.
Mm-hmm.
She looks down at it in disbelief and then turns around to face him. When she does that, we get another fun sound design choice, which we get a few times in the movie, and that's just the sound of the flies buzzing. We got it earlier with the animal caught in the trap. We got it with Johnny himself. We get it again here. I think it's suggesting Johnny is undead. He's smelly. He's rotting. There's going to be flies.
Right.
So Aurora turns to face Johnny. Johnny pulls the hook the rest of the way through her stomach and then jams it into her fucking head, spins her back around again, puts his foot on her back and just starts pulling.
Pulling the chain.
And her head snaps downward. And the harder he pulls, we can see like her upper vertebrae start popping. And then her head and shoulders start bending forward. And then holy fucking shit, dude. He pulls her head through her stomach and out her back. Stretch me out indeed. Jesus, fuck.
Fuck yeah, dude.
I like that we take our time with it. There are a couple moments where he has to reset. He wraps the chain tighter around his hand. He grunts a little bit. You know?
Right.
Oh my God, amazing. Kill of the fucking year for me. Easy.
He kicks her body down the hill after this is done,
Right.
and it tumbles and then splashes in the water at the bottom.
No, it doesn't.
No?
So, okay, we hang tight on the shot of Johnny standing over her twisted fucking body for a second until he bends over to get his hook back. Here's the first moment I saw that it's like just a chain with a hook on both ends. I don't know why, but that makes it cooler for me. I thought it was like just chain, like I didn't realize they had hooks on both ends. But we cut to a shot of the ravine from the side, and we see Johnny just kicks her body over the side, but it only slides like halfway down. It fucking stops, proving my point that if you had slid down it, you probably would have been fine.
I thought I seen it hit the water.
No, dude, you might have seen something hit the water, but the body only slides halfway down. And fucking stops. It's so fucking funny. He stands there for a minute enjoying the view, and then he turns around and guess what, guys? Starts fucking walking.
And again, we walk.
This is another hysterical detail. He's walking forever once again, and we come to find he just had to walk all the way back down and all the way back around the lake to get his fucking axe back. Oh, I'm dying. I'm dying laughing every time. It's so fucking funny.
Where did I leave that? Shit.
Yeah, the shot that reveals it is funny too, because it just like cuts from him walking to a side profile shot of him yanking it back out of the stump.
Right.
So can we get back to fucking hunting teenagers again? More walking, more flies buzzing. As Johnny walks, eventually he starts hearing voices again, and it's Chris talking to Troy. Now she's getting concerned that people are disappearing. Troy goes, oh, hush, Aaron just went to see those gas station girls. Brody and Aurora are probably off in the woods fucking somewhere.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Giggity.
Deleted scene. I'm pretty sure it's Colt here that says, no, dude, something is way off. Why are you acting like everything's fine when we should go to the police and file a report? Troy says, no, we're not going anywhere, and he chucks the fucking keys into the woods like a real douchebag.
Yeah, what the hell, dude? They fucking hit Johnny.
They
here.
land right at his feet, dude.
Yeah.
He drops his axe and bends over to pick him up, and he gets distracted by the fact that there's a toy car keychain. He loves him some toy cars. Remember, that's what the lumberjack tripped over that broke his ankle, the one that killed his dad. So Johnny just goes and sits next to a tree, perfectly content with playing with his new toy. Let's not forget he died as a child.
Right. Takes his mask off.
Yeah, we can see better now. Like, we get our first real close-up of Johnny's face. I think the makeup is exactly perfect.
Oh, it's good.
He's got some facial wounds, but it's not overdone. His lips look like they're mostly eaten away, but he's got, like, gray clouded over eyes, suggesting he's clearly undead, but not to a cartoonish degree. I think it's fantastic. He's fidgeting with the car and doing some good facial acting, raising his eyebrows and really interacting with his car. And in the background, we hear Chris say, "Don't touch me, Troy." She's all pissed off and tells him to be reasonable for once. Mm-hmm. It's revealed right here that they did indeed end up seeing Johnny standing behind them in the selfie that they all took by the fire, so Chris is reasonably creeped out. Troy says it was probably just dirt on the lens. Colt walks up right behind the tree that Johnny's sitting next to, looking for the keys. And we hear Troy say, "Oh, you think you can drive that thing?" And we hear what sounds like an ATV fire up. Meanwhile, Colt finds not the keys, but the next best thing, an axe. "Why don't you take that thing and shove it up Troy's ass and save Johnny the trouble?" Troy says to Chris, "Okay, I'm sorry Colt's dead dad fucked him up, but he doesn't get to kill my whole fucking weekend too. Jesus fucking Christ. This dude is an asshole." Turns out that's what Chris was referring to earlier when she said Colt was going through something. His fucking dad died. Mm-hmm. And you're worried about your stupid weekend, man?
Right.
Seriously, and I cannot stress this enough. Fuck directly off. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Just go fuck yourself. When he says that, Colt, now holding Johnny's axe, walks away from the tree and back to Troy, and he's like, "What the fuck did you just say?" But at the mention of dead dad, Johnny hears this and loses it. He crushes the car in his hand and kind of grumbles a little bit. Rye Barrett really crushes this role too, speaking of crushing things. No dialogue for him, but his physical acting and the little grunts and what little facial expressions we do see, it's all great, really well done.
Right.
Colt walks up to Troy holding the axe. Troy looks down at it and says, "What do you think you're going to do with that, tough guy?" But Colt's like, "Wait, no, I just found this on the ground over there, and then you said the most fucked up shit I ever heard. So I walked back to confront you, not realizing I was still holding the axe," kind of a thing. There's a little foreshadowing of Troy's eventual death when Colt says, "Something's not right, man. Get it through your head." Chris says, "All right, Colt, fuck this dude. There's a ranger station nearby. Let's go catch up with Aaron."
Uh-huh.
As they roll away, Troy yells out, "You two lovebirds, be careful." This guy fucking sucks. Chris says, "Fuck you, Troy." They ride away. Troy walks back to the cabin and lodges the axe into a stump before he walks in. And Johnny's standing there watching with his mask on as he does, and this is a really cool sequence too. Johnny can't just walk up to grab the axe or they would see him because it's right in front of the window on the front porch. So instead, he gets a clever idea, grabs a piece of wood from the ground, and wedges it between the seat and the steering wheel of the SUV, causing their horn to honk continually.
Right.
Then he walks back around the cabin, which, like, perfect sound design on this. Like, by the time he circles back around to the front, Troy is back outside to find out what in the hell is going on. Apparently, he thinks it's Colt again because he yells, "Hey, tough guy, you want to actually do something?"
Right. Things are fucking with him.
Yeah, and just before Johnny clears the side of the cabin, he walks past a window and Evan gets a real good look at him from inside. It's a great shot of him reacting like, "What the fuck?"
Right.
Troy has gone out to the truck. He's bent over trying to unwedge the wood when Johnny comes around the front and, grabs his axe from the porch stump. Troy pulls out his wood and yells into the trees, "What the fuck is this?" Pulls out the wood. Just then, Johnny comes up behind him and tries to axe him in the dome, but Troy blocks it. Johnny pushes him down instead and then sticks the axe into his leg.
Yeah, fuck.
So he rears back for another swing, but that's when the gun that was set up earlier, I believe that gun belonged to Chekhov, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. The gun goes off, but doesn't hit Johnny. The bullet sails to the left of him a little bit. So Johnny turns around and Evan is standing there holding it. Johnny walks up to kill Evan instead, and Evan cocks it again and shoots Johnny in the chest, knocking him down for a minute. Troy tries to scramble back to his feet, but his leg is all fucked up. Evan rips off a piece of his shirt or something, I think, to tie it off, and he says there's a deer trail they can take back to the main road to get some help. Man, talk about instant karma.
Right.
While the two of them are messing around, it's a cool shot we're sitting in from Johnny's midsection, basically, and kind of behind them. So the whole time you're thinking, oh man, he's probably going to sit up like Michael Myers and come back after him. Not the case. He stays still long enough for them to get to their feet and start walking. Man, Troy, I bet you're irritated you whipped those fucking keys into the woods right about now, man. Huh?
Right, no shit. Fucking idiot.
So they walk off, and the second they do, there's a fantastic overhead shot of Johnny getting back up. All he does is stand, brace, and throws this fucking axe. You don't see right away exactly what the target was, but you assume it was one of the dudes. We stay in this overhead shot. He stands, throws, and starts walking toward them, slowly, of course. Extra slowly this time, in fact. This is almost like, did you ever play God of War?
A little bit.
Did you ever play God of War 3, specifically?
I think so, yeah.
There's a great boss fight where you, as Kratos, go up against Hermes, which everybody knows is the messenger of the gods, right? The patron of travelers, etc. One thing that everybody knows about Hermes is he's really fast and he's got those winged sandals, right? So there's this part during this fight where you cut one of his legs off and he tries to crawl away, but he's super slow now. So Kratos just really slowly takes one step after another and really taking his time to get to Hermes before he holds him up and saws his other leg off. Same idea here. Turns out when we do get the reveal that when Johnny threw the axe, he threw it at Evan, nailed him right in the head. Smart move because Troy's already wounded. He ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Just like Kratos, Johnny really takes his time slowly walking up to Troy. Also, quick note, I usually prefer my kills not to be off screen, except when they put a new spin on it and give me a cool reveal like this.
Right.
Like we're still in this same overhead shot. It hasn't cut away. So when Johnny finally makes his way up to the boys, we see Evan laying there dead with an axe in his head.
Right.
And Troy trying to crawl away and failing miserably.
Yeah, he's fucked.
Johnny casually tosses his chains off so he can bend over and pick up this big-ass rock. He lifts it over his head and heaves it down on top of Troy's head. And this dude's head just explodes everywhere.
It's fucking awesome, man. Effects are amazing.
Yeah, I don't know what exactly they did here because nothing ever cut away and this dude was crawling away, moving around, yelling, pleading. Like, I think they might have actually murdered a dude for the making of this motion picture. No, whatever they did, it was amazing and I applaud them. Always love a good head explosion. Quick flashback here of Johnny standing outside their campsite while Aaron was telling his story the previous night. Johnny saw at that point that it was Troy who had the necklace and put it in his pocket during story time. So now that he's destroyed his fucking head, he goes to rifle through Troy's pockets. But at the same time, Chris and Colt come back on the ATV freaking the fuck out. Troy, Aaron's dead. We gotta go. She fucking ends up kneeling down on the ground staring at something for a minute. And Colt asks what the fuck she's doing. She's like, I think this is blood. Meanwhile, Johnny has picked his chains back up. He yanks his axe back out of Evan's head. He stops for a second, seeing a gold necklace that looks a lot like the locket hanging from Chris's neck.
Right. Found it.
So he goes to throw the axe at Chris, but Colt sees just in time and warns her. She manages to dodge it. She jumps back on the ATV and they haul ass out of there. At first, Johnny walks off after them, but he stops realizing he's not going to catch him. And then he walks all the way back to pick up his axe first.
Right.
Turns around, gets started. We cut to a gorgeous magic hour shot of Johnny walking through a little meadow as the sun sets. He's got to lift his legs up way higher now because of these tall ass flowers.
Right.
I was giggling at that a little bit. Okay, so now we're back at the ranger station. Chris and Colt are explaining to this ranger what's going on. They're like, we saw this guy. The ranger's like, all right, wait a second. Where'd you get that necklace? Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah. Where did you find that?
Yeah. He repeats it a couple of times and screams it the last time. Colt finally says they got it at the old fire tower. And he's like, well, fuck me. Here we go.
Right.
This is where we get some more goofy, cheesy horror movie exposition. You've doomed us all kind of stuff. He goes, that's his mother's necklace. It's the only thing holding his soul at rest. Chris goes, all right, well, we'll just give it back. And the ranger's like, no, you can't just give it back. He's awake now.
Yeah, you fucked up.
They stop in the middle of their conversation when Johnny walks up and Chris goes, oh shit, there he is. Now we get a face-off between Johnny and this ranger. And he looks up at him and he goes, do you remember me? I remember you. I remember what you did 10 years ago. I put you in the ground before and I'll do it again. Hilarious shots back and forth between the two. Like the ranger says something, we cut to Johnny just standing there.
Right.
The ranger says another cool line, back to Johnny standing there. I was fucking losing it. But like, I want there to be a different version of this scene where some voiceover work is done. Like, do you remember me? I'm sorry, I'm terrible with names, but you do look a little familiar. I remember you. Really? After 10 whole years? I'm flattered. I remember what you did 10 years ago. Oh, good. I really do like to leave a lasting impression. Like, he shoots Johnny and puts him down for a second, but we know that's not going to last. Ranger tells Colt to go grab some chains out of the shed. We're going to wrap up Johnny and take him back to the old fire tower. It's the only ground that'll hold him. Okay, sure. See how this goes.
Said Friday the 13th should fucking sue for this.
The acting here is a little too silly from this ranger, in my opinion. He tells Chris that the stories about Johnny and the massacre and everything were mostly true, but there was one survivor.
Yeah, the ranger's father.
My daddy.
Right.
Apparently, this ranger's dad took down Johnny once. He told his son the stories, but he never believed him. Then, 10 years later, Johnny got up and killed the people I cared about. The whole time he's giving this exposition, him and Chris are inching their way towards Johnny, still lying motionless on the ground.
So this guy's Tommy Jarvis.
Yeah.
That's what's going on.
Basically,
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
He says this time he's going to make sure Johnny stays in the ground. He yells at Colt to hurry up. Colt runs over with the chains, and the ranger tells him to start wrapping Johnny up, but Colt's too scared. He says he can't do it. The ranger says, well, fucking okay, I guess, Colt. He goes, put the chains on the ground instead. I'll wrap him up, but first, you got to take this gun.
Yeah.
Holy shit, dude. Here we go.
It's a bad idea.
Give the gun to Chris, dude. She's clearly in much better emotional shape.
Right.
The ranger starts counting to 3 for the pass-off, but when he gets to 2, he has to tell Colt to stop shaking. Of course, right at the 3, Johnny grabs the gun, pushes it above his head. The gun fires, but does nothing. Johnny and the ranger struggle over the gun for a minute, and Chris and Colt take their cue to get the fuck out of Dodge. Chris wants to help, but Colt says, no, there's no time. What the fuck you mean, no time?
Yep, fuck this ranger, we're out.
Johnny crushes the ranger's hand a little bit and throws him to the ground. Chris and Colt grab some gas and some bear traps from the back of the truck. Just in case you didn't think it was just like one of those old Friday the 13th video games. You happen to have exactly what you need to beat the killer in every single one of those in the back of your truck, huh?
Right.
Interesting. Johnny sits up as they run off. This is where we get the serial killer ab workout video, just like Mikey. He sits up. I'm not exactly sure what happened to the ranger, but he's moving really slow like he hit his head or something when Johnny tossed him.
Right. Yeah, I'm not really too sure either. He's fucked up, though.
So Johnny walks up and bends this motherfucker backwards, snaps his spine, paralyzing him, and then he just casually walks over to this building, turns on some equipment. That doesn't sound good.
Yeah. As soon as you hear it running,
Dude.
what the fuck is that?
Yeah.
Oh, we're going to find out.
Yeah. Slowly walks back and slowly drags the ranger into the building. The ranger can't do anything besides move his eyes around and do his labored breathing.
It's a fucking log splitter.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, God.
He sinks a hook into this dude, drags him into the building, and once inside, we see that, yeah, it's a big-ass log splitter. Basically, you load a log into it, and this axe head is slowly pushed by a hydraulic piston into the log, splitting the log in half. Okay, awesome. But what does that have to do with... Oh, no.
Yeah, no matter what you put in front of that fucking blade, it's going to be split.
Oh, God, you guys. So there's already a log in it, so I like that Johnny gives the ranger a little demonstration. Like,
Yeah.
All right. Here's another moment where I kind of want Johnny to be talking. He's like, okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to pull this little lever. Ooh, see how it splits that real clean like that? Do you see where we're going here?
This didn't go exactly where I wanted it to go.
Yeah, I mean...
They get his arm off here and then move him on and then get his head off too, you know. But I really expected a full body.
I did too, and that's the thing. I think that's an intentional choice because this thing moves painfully slowly.
Oh, yeah.
Just like Johnny. So now that we've used the machine for its actual purpose, let's have some fun with it. And he drags the ranger over and he sticks his arm across the danger zone there. He pulls the lever back and this thing does what it does, slowly moves down the shaft and chops this dude's arm off. And all he can do is watch and whimper. His heart has to be fucking racing 90 miles a minute.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see that he's breathing really fast here too, but he can't move a muscle to help himself. Great angle on the shot as well. Dude's arm just kind of breaks and falls and blood pours out everywhere. I think, like you said, the original plan was to chop him up limb by limb, but after seeing how long it takes, Johnny's like, Jesus Christ, let's get this over with.
Right.
And he puts the ranger's neck in the path instead.
Right.
So this is still the same shot, by the way. We don't cut away for like 2 minutes.
I got big Saw vibes from this.
Yeah.
I think just because of the machinery,
Right.
the lighting in this shed or shop, whatever you want to call it, it's just all very Saw.
Yeah, definitely.
Saw feeling, you know?
Yeah, I feel it. Once again, the axe head slowly moves down and decapitates this guy. You can see his eyes darting around the whole time. It's pretty gruesome. So just like the arm, the head separates and falls. Done deal. Easy peasy. Johnny stands there for a minute admiring his work and walks away, leaving a trail of bloody footprints in his wake. My one complaint about the makeup is Johnny's big weird hands. Like, it looks like they might have had the actor wearing a prosthetic glove or something. Everything is so, like, rounded and almost looks obstructive.
Right.
Even though he can clearly do all the things hands do with them. So, I don't know. Just looks a little silly sometimes, if you notice. But any dang way, we are back to walking through the woods at night, if you can believe it. Suddenly, Colt's voice calls out for Johnny. Johnny stops and whips around and looks. Colt says, "Come on, get us. We're right here." why the fuck are you taunting this monster that you've seen evidence of tearing your friends limb from limb? Just get out of here, you idiots. Like,
grew a set of balls, but doesn't last very long.
Yeah. Like, what the fuck is keeping them from just running and not stopping, though, at this point, you know? Colt keeps taunting him. Johnny has now zeroed in on the location. He heads over toward it. Colt drops the "I know what you did last summer" line here. He goes, "What are you waiting for?"
Idiot. You don't want to do that.
Right. We switch it up a little bit and get a head-on shot of Johnny with his spoopy firefighter mask on. I love this look, honestly. It's super simple, pretty effective. As he walks, you can see Chris and Colt sneak out from behind him. And for me, that's the moment right there. Like, why not just stay quiet and keep going? But one of them steps on a twig, and Johnny stops suddenly and slowly turns around. He does a couple of Kane Hodder style heavy breathing shoulder lifts here.
Right.
And we hear Chris whispering, "Oh my God, he sees us."
Yeah, I was laughing so hard at this because this is something that would be so damn real.
Yeah.
Two people hiding, thinking that they're quiet, they're out of sight. He's fucking staring at him in the dark, and he can hear every damn word, you know? Hey, we've got to distract him.
Right.
Hey, no, all right, I'm going to go now.
Exactly, yeah.
We get this long-ass pause of him hesitating to distract him, you know?
Right.
All right, I'm going to pop out right now.
Okay.
And then I swear to God, it feels like 3 minutes. And then eventually, hey, I'm over here.
Yeah. Yeah, Colt does like a very abrupt shush to Chris and like to tell her to shut the fuck up. Interestingly, we hear Chris say, "Wait, where are you going?" He says he has to distract Johnny, so he goes, "You go to the fire tower and set up the trap. I'll lead him there." Trust me, Cage, it's the only way. But once again, you guys, you got to stop saying this, "I'll be back." The only one with privileges to say that and get away with it is Arnold Schwarzenegger. Colt goes, "I'm not letting anything happen to you." She tries to stop him, but he goes anyway. Extremely quietly, by the way. You don't hear this dude make a fucking sound. But this entire time, for like another 2 minutes, Johnny has just been standing there completely still. Chris hilariously like leans out and kind of peeks at Johnny and sees him standing right in front of her and then does kind of an, "Oh fuck, there he is," and fucking ducks back behind the tree. Out of nowhere, Colt screams from directly behind Johnny, "Come on, you ugly son of a bitch, where?" And that's where it cuts off, literally, because Johnny wheels around and plants his fucking axe right between Colt's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Johnny,
nice distraction.
Yeah. Johnny then hits him another 5 times. This dude's head is just fucking hamburger meat bouncing off the tree, and his body falls.
Yeah, and I just love the overkill here. You know, I said a couple more for good measure.
A couple more. We're going to get into it, but like, okay. There's an excellent shot that starts close to the body, and then Johnny steps over it. But there's a really nice shift in focus to reveal Chris standing there watching this. Like, she hasn't made a sound or moved a muscle. They both stand there for a minute. And then Johnny just goes the fuck off on this body. He just keeps going.
Oh, dude, I
like,
swear 50, 60 times. This maybe in...
Dude.
Maybe not enough.
This guy has been long dead for a couple of minutes now. And Johnny just swings his axe over and over and fucking over until basically the sound fades away, really. As far as I know, he may very well still be swinging that axe to this very day.
Yeah,
into the bloody dirt.
It just kept going on and on with the movie continuing.
Well, Chris ends up running off while he's distracted with this. Turns out it was a good distraction. But I mean, talk about gratuitous. I tried to get a count on this because I don't know if it's exact, but just to give an idea of how over the top this is, I counted 91 swings before it gets to her actually running through the woods.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And there were a few things that happened in the meantime even, so
right.
Fuck.
Right.
Not to mention, we continue to hear the sound as she's running, so is that suggesting that she's running in circles or that she's hearing it in her head, reliving the moment? I don't know. But there are well over 100 bloody axe swing sounds in the few minutes of this segment. Good God.
Yeah, so as this is all happening, she decides, man, maybe we don't want this necklace. So
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say. We got to go back for a second because when he starts hacking this body into a smoothie, after like 20 of these hits, Chris, after finally getting a hold of herself and shaking the shit out of her pants, she slowly puts the gas can and bear trap down and then takes the necklace off, like you said, and hangs it on the nozzle of the gas can and just slowly backs away. If there ever actually was an appropriate moment for a slow clap in this movie, this is it.
Right.
But yeah, she hauls ass through the woods in a cool, like, Blair Witch type shot.
That's what I thought too. You can't see where she's running. It's so fucking dark out here.
Right.
Like you said, the thudding of him.
She keeps hearing it.
Yeah,
of Johnny tenderizing her fucking friend.
I imagined her running back up on him. Like she ran in a circle.
Well, that's the thing.
Hour, yeah.
It's entirely possible, but I hope she's just hearing it in her head and not getting turned around repeatedly in this forest. That would be fucking unfortunate. Although maybe it is what kind of happens, because after a minute of this, it ends up driving her crazy. She's lost, tired, scared. At one point, she kind of just stands there with her arms over her head like, fuck me, where do I go? And she screams into the woods and the shot cuts. I think it's clever, too, how we've shifted now from following Johnny to following Chris, and the experience couldn't be any more different.
Right.
Like when we're following Johnny, it's calm and deliberate, and we're just strolling through this beautiful scenery, having a great time. When we're with Chris, it's fast and erratic and jarry, and everything is scary and anxiety-inducing. It's just a really cool shift in tone. This is fucking... Oh, this movie is excellent. We see now that the shot cuts, that we jump into the next morning a little bit. It's getting light outside, and now Chris is screaming because she's got a big-ass stick shoved through her leg.
Right.
I wish we would have seen how it happened, but here we are. She's just laying on a hill. She ends up pulling it out, gets up and hobbles off. We follow her through the woods some more. A bit of an overcast day, it seems, a little darker. I felt like the longer we follow her, the more we're expecting Johnny to jump out from somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
But it never happens. She finally makes her way back to a road. Not much of one, but it's like a gravel path now. She limps her way down it, and then we cut to later when she's found an even bigger gravel road, and now she's just standing in the middle of it.
Right.
But at least the sun came out.
Yeah.
Yay! She gets tired of waiting and starts walking again until she sees a truck coming and she flags it down. This red pickup pulls over, and it's a long shot of it, and we're slowly coming up the road to it. A lady jumps out and tries to help Chris, who is at this point almost hysterical like Sally in Texas Chainsaw.
Right.
This lady, by the way, is Lauren Marie Taylor, credited in this movie as Lauren Taylor, from Friday the 13th Part 2. She played Vicky.
Oh, shit.
She was the one that was into Mark, the guy in the wheelchair that went hilariously rolling down the comically long set of stairs. But it's cool seeing her here. Again, this is a nod to, like, yes, this is what we've been doing the whole time. To prove it, here's literally a character from one of the movies.
Right.
I like that the sound here gets really muffled and there's a deep droning hum. As we make our way toward them at the truck, I'm still wondering if Johnny's going to pop out and murder them at some point. And it looks like Chris is too. She's staring off into the distance while this lady is asking her what happened and if she's okay. Finally, the sound returns to normal and she tells this lady she's all right. She gets her up in the truck and says she'll take her to a hospital. And the lady's probably like, well, here we go again. Everybody around here is used to it by now. Oh man, found another stray teen. Got to take it to the shelter. The lady gets in the truck and it's just silent as they drive for a minute until she finally tells Chris, you're going to be all right. I thought it was funny how a few times through this scene, she kind of looks over at Chris like she wants to say something but doesn't.
Right.
Like she takes a few runs at it. Chris is just stone-faced, staring straight ahead. The lady tries to get her talking. She says, I need to know you're with me and you're not fucking dying or losing it.
Right.
Chris says, no, I'm just tired. The lady mentions Chris was limping. She's like, yeah, I just fell. No big deal. Shut up. Let's just get to the hospital, please. The lady asks if she's thirsty, but she only has coffee. That's refreshing after a nice long run and hide session.
Right.
The woman asks what happened, just in case I have to answer some questions at the hospital. Chris tells her it was an animal, and she asks what kind. Chris closes her eyes, and the lady repeats she'll be okay. She's like, you made it out, didn't you? No missing pieces? Heck, you even walked out by yourself. She says she's seen people come out of there a lot worse than that. Oh, I bet you have.
Yeah, holy shit.
Chris is incredulous. She says, oh, you've seen worse, huh? Yeah, okay. And the woman tells Chris this story. She goes, her brother was a game warden, got mauled by a bear 30 years ago. She says it was real bad. His office got a call from a hunter that came upon a couple of deer carcass out in the woods. Hey, lady, I know the word deer is already pluralized, but carcass is not.
Right.
Carcasses, please. She said her brother had to drive the ATV about an hour or so into the bush. Hey, language. She goes, it looked like something out of a horror movie. Blood all over, black bear tracks all over. The deer were torn to shreds. Bobby says something felt off because they didn't look eaten at all.
Right.
Apparently, Bobby's boss told him he'd send in support, but he wanted Bobby to keep track of that bear. Her accent's goofy when she says Bobby sometimes. It was reminding me of the water boy, Bobby. But she says he drove deeper into the forest, and the whole time he keeps coming across fresh bodies of all kinds of different animals. And he comes to a creek, and on the other side of it, the tracks disappeared, and he reaches for his walkie-talkie to call it in and suddenly feels digging in the back of his head.
Shit.
She said it felt like 100 bee stings. She says the bear chomped on his head and pushed him into the creek. The bear's like, and you better have my money by Wednesday, motherfucker. No, bears don't push. Unless it's a Johnny bear. Chris takes out the Zippo we saw earlier and sits there playing with it like Johnny did with the toy car earlier. The lady says Bobby told her it seemed like it should have hurt more, but he couldn't feel anything. Just focused on getting his face out of the water. And he had a goddamn bear on his back, she says. She says, he laughs when he tells you now. I guess you get kind of funny when you're in a situation like that. And when she looks at Chris smiling, that smile disappears pretty quick when she realizes, oh fuck, right, you're actively bleeding.
Right. Chris is passed out.
The woman goes, I'm sorry, my point is, he turned out okay, you will too. Chris asks how he got out, and the woman says, well, he drowned and woke up to his teammate reviving him on the bank of a creek. And he was only out for a minute, and they airlifted him to the hospital, but he got 100 stitches. God damn.
Yeah, holy shit.
And Chris says, well, what about the bear? He goes, no idea. It was gone when they got there. They figure when Bobby drowned, the bear assumed he killed him and he moved on.
Right.
Chris says why. The lady explains about henhouse disease or syndrome or something like that. She says it's when animals just keep killing everything around them for no reason at all. She goes, Bobby said animals don't get too hung up on reason. Yep, that's what he says. Chris starts to relax a little and closes her eyes, but the lady is trying to keep her talking and alert. But now Chris won't answer her. So the lady looks down and sees that Chris is bleeding all over the place, frantically tries to wake her up. Eventually she pulls the truck over, and then Chris starts to freak out like, no, why are you stopping? And the lady says, I'm sorry, but I got to do something. She gets out and comes around the truck and tells Chris she has to try and stop her bleeding. And now we get some of the aftermath of this horrendous experience she's been through. She's dealing with survivor's guilt. She's completely filled with anxiety, expecting Johnny to pop out and murder the shit out of her, even though that doesn't make any sense. They've been driving for a while now. There's no way Johnny's anywhere around here.
Right.
But she still will probably, she never wants this truck to stop again, that's for sure, but she's probably never going to quite be the same again. Certainly not in wooded settings.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So yeah, Chris is just begging her to keep going to the hospital. The woman's like, look, bitch, I'm wrapping your leg and then we can go. Nothing is happening until I do. Chris is kind of scanning the woods, waiting for something to happen. She lifts her hand to brush the hair out of her face and smear some blood on her cheek. And then we get a shot over her shoulder staring into the woods. So it's kind of making us wonder for a second too, like, the idea here is, like we said, she's never going to be the same. She's always going to be looking over her shoulder. We switch to a close-up of her face just intently staring like she's about to face down the predator.
Right.
Come on, do it. Then another shot of just thick, dense forest. And then there's a few more absolutely stunning shots of the area showing how remote we are. There's a really pretty one with fog rolling across a lake that I just want a loop of to go to sleep to. But it's also, I think, kind of pulling a Halloween here. Like at the end of the movie, we're just kind of doing a montage of all the locations we've been to, seeing, what we've seen throughout the runtime kind of a thing. On the last shot, we're back to the spot Chris put the gas can and trap down, and we see that the necklace is no longer dangling from it. So either Johnny got it back and went back to sleep, or somebody else found it and took it and are completely fucked.
Right.
But yeah, that's where we cut to black, roll credits, and there's a nice little folk song to take us out called The Black Fly Song by Tracy Newman. It's a lot of fun. Yeah. I was jamming to this and then realized, oh shit, she keeps saying in North Ontario, and throughout the movie we keep getting shots that were accompanied by the sound of the flies buzzing, which is pretty cool. Thematic consistency with that. I can dig it. But yeah, man, that's the end. That wraps this movie up. What'd you think?
Kills were fantastic. It was definitely slow at points, but overall, man, I liked it. I didn't like how everything felt like another horror movie, and I kind of had that the whole time, but it was good to see a different point of view.
But that was literally the entire point of this movie. Like, let's see what it's like.
Right.
Just following this dude around. And there's literally nothing going on for him besides the kills. But I totally get what you mean about it being slow. If you're not completely with the premise of the movie, you might not be super pleased about sitting through the entire runtime, because a lot of it does take a long time to get between kills.
Right.
But I mean, I think that they're well spaced throughout the movie. The
Yeah.
movie itself is well paced, but dude, I fucking love this movie. It's a brilliant concept to follow the slasher the whole time. It's extremely well done. Great choice not to use a score here, I think. The sounds of nature are good enough for me, and that in itself is enough to drive up the tension sometimes.
Right, absolutely.
When we do get gore, it's turned up to 11. There's a great new horror character that I wouldn't mind seeing in a sequel. Maybe we can do Ranger Danger for the In a Violent Nature 2, Ranger Danger.
Right.
I'm into it. Yeah, dude, personally, this is just a personal choice. Doesn't reflect on the Cenobites as a whole or you watching this movie, whatever. I gave this 10 out of 10 number one motherfucker hats.
Yeah, hell yeah, dude. I think I'm about 7 out of 10 out of this one. I liked it. It was good. It was different. It was fresh.
Hell yeah.
It was also not fresh. It was a good watch, though.
We're gonna take that. That quote for you. I liked it, Jason Mitchell. But no, dude, buy this movie. Tell people about this movie. Stream it, bop it, twist it, whatever it is you got to do. Definitely check it out. I loved it personally. I'm going to watch it again after you leave. Any more thoughts to ponder as we wrap up here, or are we ready to hit the gate?
No, I think that's it.
Hell yeah. All right, that's going to do it for us, everybody. Thanks for hanging out once again. We had a good time. We hope you did too. As always, you can reach us at cenobitespod@gmail.com. Check out our socials, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. We've got YouTube going on out there. You can find us at CenobitesPod on all of the above. And if you'd like to support the show to help us make it a better product for you, you can do so by going to cenobitespod.buzzsprout.com. Thanks for hanging out again, everybody. Once again, as always, dreams are fleeting. Only nightmares last forever. Follow your nightmares.
Kill her, Mommy! Kill her!
I bid you welcome.
Come on, do it.
Mm-hmm.